All right, and we are live. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Paul T. Thanks again for checking out the DSLR Chronicles. Today, I am interviewing a young lady who I've worked on a couple of projects with. Her name is Mikiya, and we've worked on my very short. Ooh, hold on one second. I got that feedback. Let me do something. A young lady who I've worked on a couple of projects with. Her name is Mikiya. So mute that on your side as well. On my very short. Are you on that live? Hold on one second. I got that.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, just mute it. Her name is Mikiya. So mute that on your side. Good to go?
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Apologies.
No, that's fine. Like I said, so everyone, if you're watching, this is the first time we've tested out the live stream while we've actually been recording. So most of the time when I'm doing my interviews, I usually do them private. And that way, if we have any technical difficulties, we can sort them out and then we just live afterwards. Anyway, go ahead and jump to the Kia. How's it going?
It's good, Paul. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good as well. So thanks again for joining me today. Again, like I said, I wanted to, just interview you and just kind of talk about just some of your processes when you're going through finding castings for films and things like that, because I think it'd be very helpful to film producers and stuff themselves to just kind of know what the concerns are for actors. Mm-hmm. And I'll kind of just elaborate more as we get into it, because I know we talked about some stuff off camera where, it was kind of surprising to me about the whole IMDb thing. So yeah, if you remember that. So let's go ahead. So if you could start with your name, tell us your name, where you're from, and where you're currently at right now.
Okay, Paul, I know you know me, and we go through this every time, but my name, you pronounce it.
No. I thought I got it right this time.
It's okay.
Are you serious?
Yes, sir. It's okay. I didn't want to cut you off. I didn't want to be rude.
Man, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm going to let you do your thing.
All good.
Go right ahead.
My name is Mikiya Crudup. I was born in Washington State, but we moved to Killeen, Texas when I was 2. Fort Hood, I don't know if you're familiar with the area. But you're in the military, correct? So you kind of know about.
Right. Navy, but yeah, that's Army facility up Fort Hood, right?
Okay. Yeah. So I was raised in Killeen, and I moved out to Houston when I was 18. Came out here to go to school, and I've been here ever since. So Houston is home right now.
Awesome. So if you could tell us how long you've been pursuing acting.
I've been pursuing acting actively, I would say, for 1.5 years, going on 2 years now. It's always been a dream of mine, but I just started putting the actual work in for about 2 years now.
Okay. And I saw, even when I was talking to you initially, I saw that you had some things on IMDb. So if you could tell us where you got your start. Was it short films, theater? And then also, did you take any acting classes or training to kind of just get you prepared for roles and things like that?
Okay. Well, I got the acting bug when I was really young. 1st grade was my first play. Actually, my teacher came in and recommended me for a role. And I remember the performance and the reaction from the crowd. I played Rosa Parks, and that's kind of when I kind of got into wanting to be an actress. So in middle school and high school, I did theater arts and choir. And then I came and went to college and kind of started doing the adult life, the 9-to-5 working. And I actually started through an acting class. So my first acting class here was with Next Actor Studio, and they were shooting projects as well. So I would do extra work with them. And then actually my first official role was your short film, the first one we did together. So before that, I was just doing extra roles. And then your short film was kind of like my first project that I did in Houston.
Okay. So you're saying, so was my short film before that other one? I think it was like something, I've seen you, it was almost like a horror type film, or like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about, you must be talking about Marriage and Infidelity?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, no, it wasn't a horror film.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, I did that before I worked with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, get into the part that we wanted to talk about with this interview. So like myself, whenever I write my short films and I start the casting process, and I'll post in like Facebook groups, I'll post in the Houston Film Industry Meetup Group and things like that. So just from your side as an actress, where do you usually go to find casting calls, and how do you usually go about hearing projects and things like that?
I use a few different sources. Actors Access, Short Film Texas, Backstage actually will post things that's local every now and then. I do have an agent, so they will send me things. They mostly work with commercials. So as far as the acting, like theatrical acting, it's typically Actors Access, like I said, Short Films Texas, and you hear a lot of stuff through the Houston's Actors Group on Facebook. And then also after you start working and you meet people, it's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of recommendations. Hey, I got this going on, and they'll just reach out to call you or text you. So word of mouth is actually getting better the more I work. And so I've been getting a lot of things just by networking and knowing people.
Right. And I have been seeing like in the Facebook groups when people post someone to come in and tag someone.
Yeah.
Say the person's name for that. Yeah. And and then interesting, remember we worked together on my first project. And so for this Trickle Down Autonomy, I was like, well, I already worked with her before. I was like, kind of was familiar with your work and your acting style. So another thing I kind of try to tell people is that a lot of this is relationships, so,
absolutely.
It's a lot of word of mouth and things like that. So let's see. And here's a big one that I want to talk about. So what do you look for in trying to determine the legitimacy of projects?
Back to IMDb. I am big on IMDb. That's the first resource I go to, because to me it tells me if someone takes this seriously, kind of. Not everybody's going to spend $159 a year and not really trying to pursue a project. So IMDb, if they have a website, just for instance, I would trust you if I was to reach out to you and I didn't know you just because you have your YouTube show, you're on IMDb, so it's more legitimate. Also, I look at the other actors that are involved, if possible. Like when we did Trickle Down Autonomy, I already knew who was going to be there. So when you show up on set, it's like, okay, yeah, you're familiar. And also word of mouth will help as well. Hey, have you worked with this guy before? Do you know this guy? So I just do as much research as I can. Because being in Houston, you're not going to get projects that are that big on a grand scale. So you have to vet the people as much as you can.
Right. And so I remember when we were talking after we wrapped up with Trickle Down Autonomy, you were saying that even when my first project, believe me when I say, you were kind of like, I don't know, because this guy didn't have IMDb. So, right. And then I was like, and it's funny too, because you met Roman, and he was the one who actually turned me on to IMDb Pro, because first I was kind of like, well, I'm just doing these little short films. It's nothing really too major. But he was like, people really take that serious. So I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and invest in it. So, So
it's a good tool for actors as well. Just like the exchange, we don't get paid a lot in the Houston market.
Right.
So it's like what you're really trying to do is build a resume, build some credentials. And so if a producer or director has that IMDb credit to give, then it's like, okay, at least I know that my work is being credited and people can, check me out if they want to. So
right. So yeah, filmmakers, take note of that again, because that is a good tool to have. It's kind of like digital currency, like, again, like that's how it was explained to me, is that, if you've got some work and actors actually able to get credit for it, that's another, what's the word I want to use? I want to say bargaining chip, but I want to say another plus, because again, like you said, this market, we're not really paying a whole bunch, but if you can do good projects, something that people will be proud to be able to say, this is what I've been in.
Yeah.
And also, and I'm also getting IMDb credit to show someone else. That will help as well. So let's go on to the next one. How do you determine if projects are a fit for you in terms of like the image you would like to portray? And this is what I mean by that. So let's say there was a role that required you to be like a prostitute or something like that, and what I'm trying to get at is that, so a lot of times I'll see and maybe we're going to answer this question, but I want to see how it works from your end. When I'm looking in the Facebook groups, people will post stuff like, hey, we're just looking for an actress to do this role, but they don't really give any details. And like, you know, people will have to come in there and say, well, what's the age range? You know, what's the ethnicity you're looking for, and what else is involved? So how do you usually go through that filtering process?
So I try to find things that I think will be a good fit for me. But if something sparks my attention, or if somebody reaches out to me, there's something that's out of the norm for me, I have to have more details on the motive of the character. So you said, you know, play a prostitute. Okay, I'm playing a prostitute, but how did she get here? What happened? And by me portraying this character, what is the audience going to learn? What's the lesson? And if the motive in the lesson is good enough, if I feel like there's a message behind it that can speak to the audience in a good way, then I'm comfortable doing that. But if there's no message and no motive, and you just want me to just be out there as a prostitute, then no, I can't do it. So it's the storyline that I have to know.
Right. Yeah, because that's what I was kind of getting at. If it's like, you know, they just want you to be just dressed all skimpy and stuff, and there's really, yeah. So, oftentimes, have you actually like had like your agents like maybe forward you a script or something, you just kind of read through and say, well, yeah, I'll do this, or not really interested in things like that? And also, have you had people like, you know, just reach out to you personally, you know, and just be like, you know, and then you have to just be like, no, I'm not really interested in that? Because I know it works two different ways. So it'll be an instance to where you'll actually find casting calls and apply for them, or like in our situation where we work together, where I just reach out to you with the role and say, this is what it is, would you be interested?
So mostly the things that I've had to reject were things that I inquired about, and I found that they weren't a fit for me. Most of the things that came my way from other people was good to go. You know, I didn't have any issues with it. But I have had things that I have to say, no, not this time. Just because you as an actor, especially in Houston, the only thing that you're getting in exchange a lot of times is a good project. And so if I feel like this might not be worth it, like it might, maybe the quality I don't think is going to be good enough, or they're trying to portray me in a way that I don't want to be portrayed. And just, you know, respectfully decline.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think it's important. I know a lot of times when we first start working, we just want to eat up everything. I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that, because you want to get on a good project, you want to be seen. But it's okay to be choosy to an extent. It's okay to make good choices for yourself.
And I agree. I mean, honestly, me myself, I don't, you know, I've told people this, that I'm not really interested in doing any kind of like music directing, video directing, especially not hip hop. I love hip hop. I just the whole atmosphere, the whole, you know, it's not really anything I want to get into. So, you know, if somebody, and I've had people ask me, you know, do you do music videos? And I just have to, like you say, respectfully decline, because it's not really anything I want to get into, you know? So, yeah, I understand completely. So
that happens with me with modeling a lot. A lot of people be like, hey, well, I think you could be a good model. I'm not a model. I'm an actress. Like, I'm sorry, but get somebody who wants to model.
I agree. And that's another thing I mentioned when I was talking about, so I have a video about how to find actors for your films and things like that. And I talked about like, you know, just, you know, somebody probably gets in their head to just randomly approach like a handsome male or a beautiful female and be like, hey, would you like to be an actor and actress? And, you know, not everybody wants to be on camera and stuff like that. So it's best to work within kind of the confines of, you know, the community that you have to, you know, work with people that actually want to be doing it. You know, it's not just, you know.
Because there's a lot that comes to acting other than just the being able to get on camera and look good and deliver lines. It's, you know, the technical aspects of it. So you have to have people who know the language and want to do the work. Right.
And let's talk about this, because Roman brought this up in the interview I did with him. So, and it's not even one of my questions, but I do want to ask it. How do you deal with like the rejection aspect of casting calls and things like that? Because And when Roman explained to me, I really didn't think about it. I'm like, you really have to have really thick skin in this
You do.
business.
You do.
Because, I'm sorry, go ahead.
When I first started, I had someone tell me pretty much that actors are at the bottom of the food chain. And if you think about it, we see the actors first, we see them on the red carpet, you see them on TV, but at the end of the day, you're kind of employed by somebody else. So you're on a job interview every time you audition, and you have to think about what goes behind booking somebody as an actress. You could be good, but they could be looking for a certain look. Looks do matter in this industry. And I'm just not saying being pretty, but sometimes you have to look a certain way to fit a certain role. And so how I deal with the rejection is after I audition, I let it go. I let it go. If they call me, great. If they don't, then I move on to the next project and keep auditioning and keep auditioning. And when you do that, you're going to get something. You have to go through the audition process. They might not want you for the role you auditioned for, but I've had it to where people call me later. Hey, Mikiya, you remember when you auditioned for this? Hey, we want to see you on this project. Or I know someone who could do this. So I take every audition as an opportunity to be seen. So it's not rejection. There's one more person who knows me, one more casting agent that knows me, one more director that knows me. So you got to know that you're going to be rejected, but you're going to be accepted as well.
Right. And actually, I agree with that. Probably rejection probably in the best word to use. So like you said, it isn't rejection. So when I first did Believe Me When I Say, I just kind of did a mass kind of like audition for it. Mm-hmm. And from that, like not everybody could be the main character that Chris Moore ended up playing, mm-hmm. and, other things like that. But from that, I found Jules for the Three Jakes and a Narco one did.
Okay.
That I did. And then, Jennifer just played the friend in the one that me and you worked on, but she ended up being, one of the main characters in Three Jakes and a Narco. And then in the same instance with you, like you just kind of had the little small role in Believe Me When I Say, but then you had a kind of expanded role in Trickle Down Autonomy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it all kind of worked out. So.
And it's a funny story for Trickle Down Autonomy with me. That day that you called me for the role, I had auditioned for another director here in Houston, and because of some scheduling conflicts, I had to go to Chicago for something. She couldn't wait on me for the callback. So I was a little bummed. I was like, man, if you think I'm that good, you'll just make some time and squeeze me in. So she rejected me due to scheduling conflicts. But as soon as that was over, I swear, like 3 or 4 hours later, you called.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, wow. So
yeah,
when one door closes, another one opens. Like, seriously.
Right. And I like seeing those stories. Like there'll be some where, especially I think the one that I'm thinking of right now is, which one was that? So it's escaping me right now. But okay, let's say for The Matrix, mm-hmm. They had I believe they had Matthew McConaughey and some other people in consideration. I think Johnny Depp was in consideration for the role of Neo, mm-hmm. but they had to kind of turn him down because of other commitments. And, Keanu Reeves ended up getting the role and stuff like that. So it's just interesting to see like some of those dynamics because a lot of it is timing as well. So mm-hmm. Cool. So yeah, we won't stay on that too long. So what is your ultimate goal in the acting world? Is it, Broadway, Hollywood, television, a little bit of all of it?
I like theater, but I would prefer to be on movies. It used to be strictly I want to be a movie actor, but television has developed and expanded so much that I really don't see the difference between TV and movies now. And a lot of stars are going from movies to television shows and back and forth. So film and television is where I want to be.
Yeah, and I would say keep an eye out for that because again, with like Netflix and Hulu and even what HBO's doing, there's a lot more opportunities now. Like, so, look at like a show like Westworld. I mean, mm-hmm. It's like a mini series, but it's essentially just made for that. And then like Game of Thrones is one. Breaking Bad. You know, I think Breaking Bad was on AMC. AMC wasn't really known to be doing those kind of shows, so it was a hit for them. So
FX has a lot of stuff going on now.
Right, they do their own programming and then they pick up stuff. So
yeah,
it's a bigger segment as opposed to how it was just NBC, CBS, whatever. You know, so you got more opportunities, and then people doing like me doing stuff on YouTube. So you know, some people get their start there. Like, do you know Issa Rae, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, so. I love Awkward Black Girl.
Okay, so you actually watched the original?
Yes, I was a fan when it first came out. So.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, what advice would you give someone just starting out in the acting world, as far as like you know, things to look out for and to keep being taken advantage of, and then maybe even like some advice on how to end up getting an agent. I'm sure nobody starts out with it right off the back, but just some of the things that for people that's starting out to kind of watch and not end up getting taken advantage of.
Okay. For me to get started is to just go ahead and do it. Meaning get the basics, get yourself a headshot, and literally just go to the agencies and make appointments and sit down with them, because they will tell you, if they don't want to hire you on, they will tell you what you might need to develop, or what you might be missing to get into the industry. So I wouldn't hesitate to go out there and try to find an agent. Do it immediately, and get headshots. And the things to look out for, I would say just
so I would say like maybe a big example is like, especially like maybe like you just get this random email and somebody's like, hey, I want to represent you. I know this and this person in Hollywood. I can do all this and blah, blah, blah. So what would you advise? So what would be the process you would go through to kind of vet that person to see if they actually are who they say they are, or are they just blowing smoke up your, you know, whatever? So
for one, if they're asking me for money, that's a big red flag. Because there's a little agencies that if you sign up for things on the internet, they'll call you and, oh, we have these projects going on with, they'll name big Hollywood actors and we just need to subscribe and it's $20 a month. No.
Right.
No.
To that point, so let me mention this. I ended up seeing that somebody picked up my casting call for Trickle Down Autonomy. And I just, because I guess I was Googling this to kind of see what pops up, just to kind of get an idea of, you know, if what I had was ranking or whatnot in the search terms. And some like casting, it's one of those, like you said, it's like, hey, pay money and you'll get the contact information and things like that. And I thought that was pretty jacked up because, you know, I don't put my stuff on any places where people would have to pay money to access it. So now the only instance that I'm going to do that is, like you mentioned, Actors Access. So you, Aaron, Charisma, they all said that's pretty legit. So they have what's called breakdown services. And that's for like people to post their projects. And, you know, you only post paid projects on there, I believe. So, right. So, but this was just like some random whatever, like site that picked it up and said, you know, had everything that I had written. And then like, in order to access this information, you need to subscribe. And yeah, so that's pretty ornery. I don't like that at all. So
yeah, I definitely look out for things like that. And other than that, just vetting the people. Back to my IMDb and making phone calls. If you're in the Houston market, it's pretty small. So somebody should know something about the person that's reaching out to you.
Right. And I very much, sorry, go ahead.
I said you run into the same people in the Houston market. So.
Yeah. People don't realize how small the industry is. So, but yeah, you make a good point about the fact that because I've heard of that in modeling, where people was like, you know, yeah, we want to represent you, but we need you to pay this amount of money to this photographer to get like this modeling book. And I'm like, if they really believe in you, you shouldn't be paying any money. They should be like, you know.
Right. With my agency, they took me right on. I know some agencies, they try to make you take their classes and modeling classes and things like that. I didn't have to go through any of that. Of course, they make you pay for the stuff. So I would just watch out for people who ask for money in advance. It's usually they're not really interested in you. They're interested in the money.
Right. I agree. And let me ask you a question that I want to ask that I didn't have on here, but I do want to ask because, we follow each other on Snapchat, and I did see that, and I've seen it oftentimes, like you've taken like acting classes and things like that. How has that been? What's that experience been like?
I love acting class. That's what I want to say if you're starting out as well. Get in class. Actors, you don't really have that many chances to practice unless you really know how to practice on your own, which could be challenging. But class keeps you acting. It keeps you active. It keeps you using your acting tools. You have to stretch those muscles and get better and get sense memory and do all types of things. So I love acting classes. Like I said, I started off at Next Actor Studio, and I actually met Charisma there. So we were taking the same class.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Yeah. And now I'm working with a guy named Troy Rowland. He comes out from LA once a month, and we do a session on Saturday and Sunday. And it's just great. One, for networking. I found that a lot of times your acting coaches maybe might invite other people to audit the class, or they work on projects themselves. So, they pick talent from the classes sometimes, or give you recommendations on who to see and where to go. Also, you're in class with other actors. So those are your networks. Those are your peers. So they're going to talk to you, and you ask them what project you're working on, and they give you references as well. And then, just practicing and letting people see your talent. Because when you're in class, you're around other people. So people will tell you if you're getting better or what you need to improve on. So if you're not working, you should be in class. I highly recommend class.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But is there anything that people should watch out for as far as like any acting class like scams? I know I always sound like paranoid and stuff.
Hey, no, it's okay.
I'd rather people just, because again, like I said, we're in a market that's actually, I would think a lot more scams would happen in places like LA and Atlanta and New York, where everybody's really just giving up everything to just go out there and just try to,
They're kind of desperate sometimes.
Right.
As far as acting class, again, do they have a website? How long have they been around? Do you know anybody else who's taken that class?
Okay.
Just do as much research as possible. And a legit acting class is going to have a schedule for you. They're going to have training, what you're going to be doing that day. So if they don't seem legit, like somebody is being somewhat legitimate with you. So if they don't seem legit, if you don't trust it, then walk away from it, because there's 1,000 acting classes out here.
Right. Okay. So we're getting close to the end of the interview. So what would you like to say to maybe like casting agents or producers or something like that? So from an actor standpoint, or even people in the Houston area, like filmmakers, as far as when we're posting our projects and things like that, what is it that you would like to see more of in terms of helping you to be able to assess what, the project is about, and finding out all the information you need to, because again, it's important for somebody like me who puts that information out there, because, I guess if you don't do it a certain way, or if it's not enough information for people to gauge what it's about, then, it's not going to be an effective posting. So
I would say include as many details as you possibly can, because the slightest thing can make or break whether an actor can take the job. What are the dates? What are the callback dates? What are the shoot dates? And any other possible dates that you might need the actor. And details about the storyline if you can, and about the character. Because a lot of times, the hard part for an actor is you want to audition for a character, but the director or whoever posts the audition gave you no details of the character. So you're making your own character up in your head. You go to the audition, and it's completely different from what they want, because you didn't have any details to develop that character. You had nothing to go off. So if you can just give a good description of the character, good description of the synopsis, and dates, and most actors, good actors, can go from there.
Right. And I would encourage any actors or actresses watching this that if you are lacking that information, just reach out and ask that, because even people that I've had on the project, some people would still email me and say, hey, about this character that I'm going to play, like what's the backstory and stuff like that. So I make sure I try to give as much information as possible so that they can actually get into the character itself. So, all right. So if people were wanting to reach out to you and contact you, what's the best way to get a hold of you as far as, is it social media, or should they reach out to your talent agency or IMDb? What's your preferred method of having people reach out to you?
Reach out to me. I have an agent, but I do most of my bookings alone right now. So either my email address, which is msc.crudup, that's CRUDUP @gmail.com, or my social media. You can find me at Mikiya Crudup on Facebook or Instagram. It's MI_KI_YA. So just reach out to me. And I respond. I like when people hit me up about acting opportunities. Before this, I really didn't respond to people on Facebook and social media. But when you start acting and you're networking, hey, you have to be responsive to people. You have to do that networking, because that's where the opportunities come from. So.
Right. And yeah, I'm going to get all of your social media contact and all of your contact information from you. And I'll put that information in the description box below so that anybody watching it, they can get that. So do you have any other questions for me or anything like that?
No, Paul, I'm good. Anything for me?
No, you're good. So I appreciate you once again for, and like I said, we've been meaning to get around this for a while. So appreciate you coming on to the live stream and doing this interview with me. And I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks again. And thanks everyone for watching. And I will talk to you next time.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye.